A constant Democratic refrain in the blame game over a potential government shutdown is that House Speaker John Boehner can't compromise because of unyielding pressure from the Tea Party loyalists in his Republican caucus. Any truth to that? Well, let's ask Republican Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann of Minnesota, who founded the House Tea Party caucus this year. And let's start there, Congresswoman. Does the Tea Party have the Speaker in a straitjacket?
No, I think that the conference actually is very unified. We want to work together to be able to actually cut spending, real appreciable spending out of this budget. And I think that House Republicans have bent over backwards to make sure that there is not a government shutdown. So we'll see what happens.
I want you to listen to one of your colleagues, Virginia Fox, on the floor this morning. Democrats say one of the things they want ripped out of this deal right now is language that would say no funding of Planned Parenthood. Listen here.
The American people do not want taxpayer-funded abortions. That's part of what we're talking about. That's part of our ideology.
Now, I know you agree with your colleague there, but do you think, for the sake of getting a deal now, should Republicans say, let's get more spending cuts and give up, whether it's abortion funding, whether it's some environmental regulation, set that aside for the next battle?
Well, my opinion is this. I think that we should have a clean bill that makes sure that the paychecks get to the troops on time. After all, now that President Obama has us engaged in a third war in Libya, I think it's imperative that our troops not pay a price, and none of the families back home should worry whether or not they're getting a check. That's why today I voted no on the bill, because we heard from President Obama this morning he was going to vote no on the Republican bill. Knowing that, I think it's important that we do what I think 100% of Congress should be able to vote for, and that's ensure full paycheck protection for all of the military. We need to do that bill alone. That's just a policy bill. It's not even a continuing resolution. We should pass that bill and at least take the troops off the table. From there, we can go back and fight about all of the other portions of this appropriation, but I think the troops should not be a political football. That should not be a game.
I can feel my BlackBerry vibrating with the tweets I will get, the angry tweets from the left with what I'm about to say here. And I'm going to say that you have taken what I will describe as a reasonable position in the middle of this, essentially, and tell me if I'm reading it wrong, that the Republicans should cut the best deal they can get now in an argument that is about billions of dollars, because you have a much bigger fight just ahead that's about some huge policy questions and about cutting trillions of dollars. Is that your position?
Yeah, my position is that we need to have the fight on Obamacare. From the very beginning, I've said that we have got to have that fight. I think it is a crime against democracy because Speaker Pelosi and President Obama failed to even tell the members of the House and the members of the Senate, much less the American people, that if a member casts a vote for the Obamacare bill, they would also be voting to spend $105 billion. Your viewers know, John, that we've been fighting over about $61 billion in savings to the taxpayers. Well, that doesn't even include the $105 billion that was just recently spent or appropriated to implement Obamacare. It's my opinion that that money should be given back because it was passed fraudulently. No one knew that money was there. So I think that we should be fighting about that. We're not taking up that fight right now. I voted no on the bill because, again, President Obama said he was going to veto this current bill, and I think let's make sure that the troops are their paychecks are fully funded now. Let's make sure that that's done. And then from there, let's get to the rest of this.
As you know, a lot of Democrats dispute your numbers on the health care bill there, but I want to save that one for another day. I want to focus on the problem.
We'll go to the Congressional Budget Office. It's their numbers.
Well, let's focus where we are right now today, though. Are you going around inside your caucus and telling, as you know, some of your fellow Tea Party members, they do want more in cuts, and some of them have said, if it takes shutting down the government to get them, let's do that. Are you going around to them and saying, look, not now. Let's get the best deal we can now, and when we get to the House Republican budget and we get to the big cuts, trillions of dollars of cuts, Medicare, your effort to defund the Obama health care plan, save your ammo for another day, is that your message?
Well, my big message has been let's change the arc of history, and we do that by defunding Obamacare. The number that we cut, whether it's $61 billion or some other number, won't be as decisive as actually defunding Obamacare, because that will be in excess of $1 trillion that we spend in order to pay for Obamacare. I'm very excited about the path to prosperity, because in that bill, or in that aspirational document that we revealed this week, we're looking at actually defunding Obamacare. That will be the fight in the 2012 budget, and I think we need to get on to that fight.
The Speaker worked around you to keep you out of the leadership. You wanted a leadership position. Has he come to you in any of this saying, I could use your help with some of the Tea Party members in the caucus?
Well, of course, they want to have all of our help and all of our votes on this budget, and the Republicans did deliver.
But has he asked you as the Speaker, forgive me for interrupting, but as the Speaker said, Congresswoman, some of your friends aren't happy with what I'm doing. You seem to get it, that let's fight, do the best we can now, then move on to the big and more important fight. Has he specifically said, can you help me?
Well, I don't reveal those conversations that we have between us. I don't think that that's appropriate. I think it's important that we have open conversations that we can share between each other. But, of course, I will say that he wants to have all of our votes when they put a bill up to be voted on.
The Republican Congresswoman I'm speaking to is thinking about running for President of the United States. If you were the president right now, I'm not saying adopt his policy positions in this battle, but if you were the president and you were on the precipice of a government shutdown in a little more than 24 hours, would you do anything differently in terms of how you handle the negotiations than President Obama?
Yes, I think that what I would do is make sure that I have all the leadership there in my office. We'd have a list of pros and cons. We'd put everything on the table, and we would stay together until we actually cut a deal. Because I think, again, the American people want the game playing to stop, and they want us to get serious. It's tough out there right now. Gas was $1.83 a gallon the day before President Obama took office. In a lot of places in the United States, it's over $4 a gallon. My son in Connecticut called me this week and said a gallon of milk there was at $4.19 a gallon. We're seeing inflation in groceries. We're seeing inflation in the price of clothing. People want government to get its act together and stop playing the games. I agree with people. Let's get serious and get it done. I think that it is an admission of failure when we see the government shut down. I think we need to get it done. We need to fight on principle. We need to be practical, but we also need to get the job done.
And so, am I right in reading what you're saying when Speaker Boehner, Leader Reid, they're in the White House tonight, the president should lock the doors and not let him out until they get a deal?
I'm not saying that he should lock the doors. I'm not saying that, but I do think that we have to stay focused right now. And the president has left to give some speeches, and he certainly can do that, but I think we need to focus like a laser beam, because the American people are focusing on this right now, and we need to get the job done.